Good afternoon. My heartfelt pranams to our dear Sathguru, who helped us and led us to Sri Krishna consciousness. Though I was not fortunate to meet Sri Guru Vishnu Mohanji, my pranams to him. My very dear Guru Bhai, Sri Hariprasad ji, my pranams to you and all the Sahridayas here. Sri Guru Bhai ji is continuing to lead us and continues Sadhguru's path to take us into the aura and the blissful realm of Krishna's blessing. And today it is the Balakrishna theme of this webinar. While I was listening to Dr. Sukanya's presentation, this thought came to me. I would like to just share this thought with all of you. Why is the flute so precious, especially Krishna's? Because in the flute, like we have Veena, Venu and Mridangam. In Veena, anybody can pluck a string, or in a Mridangam, one can just take a beat and the sound comes. But here, one has to blow his breath. Krishna, when he blew his breath through this randra of the flute, to make all of us breathless, to forget ourselves, to even breathe. That could be felt only by the gopis who are his contemporaries while listening to his music. Without breathing, no sound emanates from a flute. That too bamboo, this is the most natural instrument. Except, making the holes, it's completely a natural instrument. So his breathing was so special, the Lord himself playing the flute. It beckons us, and this is one thing which I wanted to, share with you. And this also has a little bit of connection with the few lines of Uttukadu Venkatakavi before I go into his life and other compositions. In Alaipayude, a composition, I'll tell you, this composition is the most famous composition. I am 68 now. Wherever I sing, people send list of this song. They want this song to be sung. In the Anupallavi, it goes like this. Nilai peyaradu Shilai polave nindra Nilai peyaradu Shilai polave nindra Neramavadhariyamale Miga vinodamana muralidhara En manam alaipayude. Nilai peyaradu means you're standing very still. You're not taking a step backwards or forwards because of this flute that you're listening to. Silai polave nindra, you're standing like a statue. You're so raptured by this music of the flute. Neramavad ariyamale, you don't even feel that the time is passing. You don't even want the time to pass. Maybe you want the time also to be still. Mika vinodamana muralidhara. Muralidhara is again the flute. The one who is holding it is Krishna here. Mika vinodamana means it's something unusual and you can't even describe it. En manam alaipayude. So naturally, when you listen to Krishna's flute, you can't be sitting still and you can't meditate here. Your mind is going like the waves of the sea. This is one thing which came to my mind just then when I was listening to her talk, and I thought I'll share it with you. Venkatakavi belonged to the era from 1700 to 1765. Uttukadu Venkata Subbayar was one among the pioneering composers of South Indian classical music, and he was named as Venkata Subramanian, was born in Mannargudi, 200 miles from Chennai, as the eldest of 5 children to a Tamil Swartha couple Subbukutti Iyer and Venkamma. This information is available from his brother's descendant named Ramachandra Vadula's family, which also conveys that they belong to the Vadula Gotra. From Mannargudi, the family shifted to many places and Kavi moved to Uttukadu, also known as Denu Swasapuram, near Kumbakonam. One of his nephews, Kavi's nephews, called Krishna Iyer, was a musician in the court of King Prathapasimha Bhonsle in the later period of 18th century. Venkatakavi composed many songs in praise of Kalinga Nartana Krishna at Uttukadu. This thala is also known as the Ten Gokulam or the Southern Gokulam. Now there is a story about him as a small boy. He wanted to learn music and he approached a musician, senior musician there, or a teacher who was teaching music. And that person never took him seriously and he just chased him away. He came crying to his mother and saying that this Vidwan did not teach me music. So this lady who was busy in her whatever she was doing at home, she just wanted to pacify the child. She said, why don't you go to the temple itself and sit in front of this Kaliya Nartana Krishna and ask him to teach you the music. He will definitely listen to your request and he will teach you. Kavi, in one of his compositions, mentions this. He is said to have been initiated into various aspects of music while meditating in front of this Kalinga Nartana Krishna. In Guru Padara Vindam, in Raga Abogi, he says, I have never studied the scriptures or yoga, nor pretended to have done. Mark this, nor pretended to have done. My Guru's glance, the benevolent one, is the only source. This is the internal evidence he gives in this composition. Kavi's philosophy was devotion through music is the sole path to salvation. Bhakti Yoga Sangeeta Margame Parama Pavanam Ahume is another reference. Perhaps this was later taken by Tyagaraja, where he says Sangeeta Jnanamu Bhakti Vina Sanmargamu Galade. Venkatakavi's belief was that music should blend with spirituality in order to make it shine. Kavi's usage to wide ragas are noteworthy. Todi, Kalyani, Karaharpriya, Sahana, Kannada Gaula, Jayantashri, Malavi, Umabharanam, etc. However, the last four are attributed to Tyagaraja's Vinta or Vichitra ragas, which says that he was the first to have introduced these ragas. Now, I don't want to go into that controversy. Now, for Kavi's songs, not being used much is due to one of his descendants, who was a musical discourse performer, who added his own songs and the music as Venkatakavi's list. So ultimately, the later organizations could not decipher which was Venkatakavi's and which was the other person's music or compositions. Two other ragas of Kavi we come across, which have not been used by anybody else, is Lalita Gandharvam. There is a composition called Shivanaike, and Deeparam, there is a song called Pada Sevanam. These are said to be again Kavi's creations. Kavi's approach to Sahana, Paras, Nadanama Kriya and Arabi are distinctive and are refreshing. He seems to be the only composer being taught by the Lord himself. He has also mentioned this a while ago. I was giving you the internal evidence. And in many other sources also in songs, he has given this information. Not only ragas and music, but his rare usage of talas are also noteworthy here, like Kanda Dhruvam having 17 aksharas, Sankirna Matyam with 20, Mishra Atta having 18. In Tanjavur, apart from Harikatha, Bhajana, Chinna Melam, which is Sadir or Bharatanatyam, and Periya Melam, the Nagaswara group, the other famous theatrical form was and is Bhagavata Mela Nataka. Melattur, Suramangalam, Salyamangalam, Nallur, Tepperma Nallur, and Uttukadu have been famous centers of this Bhagavata Mela tradition, wherein only male members sing, speak, or enact and dance various themes from Bhagavatam. Even today, the only place where this is available is Melattur. Venkata Subbayar belongs to Uttukadu and he lived prior to Tyagaraja. Venkata Subbayar became a very prolific composer in not only Sanskrit but also in Tamil. He was not only an expert in poetry but was also an adept in Laya, which I gave you some examples. His Kaliya Mardana Tillana, which is very popular today, itself is an example which has become famous. And most of his compositions, the other thing is that there are a lot of jatis incorporated in between the Sahitya. Though he was a Trinity composer, the Bhajana Sampradaya Nama Sankirtanam tradition popularized his songs. There's always 5 or 10 of his compositions which are included in the Bhajana Sampradaya, which was actually formulated by the 3 saints, Sathguru Swamigal and Bodhendral and Sri Venkatesha Iyyaval. This was also before the Trinity, where there was more Nama Sankirtana. And Venkatakavi's compositions are not only popular in Bhajana Sampradaya, but also in vocal music and in Bharatanatyam field also. The songs are very picturesque and bhava oriented. These compositions are set to Rakti Ragas. As I mentioned, the Solkattu Jatis add a special feature to his songs. All 5 nadais, Tisram, that is 3, Takita, Chatusram, Takadimi, Kandam, Takatakita, Mishram, Takita, Takadimi, Sankirnam, Takadimi, Takatakita, 4 plus 5, 9, are all utilized. And there are also Chittaswaras in some of the songs. Madhyamakala Sahitya also can be seen in many of the compositions. So all these aspects, what I am trying to say, has been there in Kavi's compositions prior to the music trinity. Brindavana Nilaya in Riti Gaula Adi, Rasika Mahottama Sarasangi, Rasi Keli Vilasa in Karahara Priya, Swagatam Krishna in Mohanam, Satakoti Manmata Ananda Bhairavi, Madhura Madhura Atana, and such compositions are all very well known. His Sanskrit compositions resemble the lyrical style of Jayadeva and Narayana Tirtha. It is very interesting to note that somebody heard Taye Yashoda played by a Nagaswaram Vidwan many years ago, maybe centuries ago, and they wanted to know who this composer was. Only then they came to know that there was a Uttukadu Venkata Subbayar. Even today, this song is so popular. The interesting aspect is Taye Yashoda has 8 charanas. Maybe he was influenced by Jayadeva's Ashtapadis, and we have 8 charanas here. And in Illai Illai, the song, Krishna gives his replies to the charges of gopis in Taye Yashoda. In Taye Yashoda, it's gopis coming and complaining about Sri Krishna to Yashoda, and each and every charana has the list of complaints. Here, Krishna in Illai Illai song, he's trying to clear the accusations and his opinion about the accusations made by the gopis, and he wants to say Illai Illai, and there we see him justifying whatever he has done. Again, this resembles the complaints of gopis made to Krishna, and Krishna replies as to how he saved them, like in Gokula on many occasions, like the saving them from this Kaliya snake, then Govardhana mountain, how he saved them from that torrential rain, etc. This has been utilized by Tyagaraja in his Nauka Charitram. So what I'm coming to say is that the Trinity were quite aware about his compositions at that time. Another song of his is Sinditavar Nenjil Irupadu, is in Nataraga. Many of us don't know that Uttukadu Venkatakavi also composed in praise of Vinayaka, Radha, Tyagaraja of Tiruvarur, Kamakshi, Rama, Kartikeya, Narasimha, Anjaneya, Ranganatha, and Surya. Also on Sukabrahma Rishi, Jayadeva, and Valmiki. He also refers to Alvars, Nayanmars, Ramanuja, and Tulasidas in his compositions. He must have been one of the earliest to have composed Tilanas. And it also says that he has composed verses, slokas, lyrics, and incorporated jatis, as I mentioned earlier, Javali, Tirupugal, and Kavadi Chindu. Annamalai Reddyar comes much later. Of course, the Chindu meter having 3 lines, the Lakshana is given in Tolkapiyam itself. Krishna Ganam, based on Krishna's birth to Rukmani's wedding, is his work. His operas are on Ramayana, Mahabharata, Daksha Yagam, Prahlada Charitram, Dhruva Charitram, Pranavopadesham, the Upadesha given to Lord Shiva by Lord Muruga, folk pieces with 83 stanzas, live sketch of Manika Vasagar, Kungiliya Nayanar, one among the 63 Saivite saints, Tirumangai Alvar, Kamakshi Navavarnam. Now this is very, very important, that Kamakshi Navavarnam was, this Navavarnam concept was composed by Uttukadu Venkatakavi before Muthuswami Dikshitar. Saptaratna Malika and Anjaneya Saptaratnam, Madhava Panchakam, Narasimha Panchakam, Ranganatha Panchakam, 14-15 songs in praise of his Guru Krishna. There is also another view. Some say, some scholars feel that Sri Bhaskara Raya was his contemporary. Could have been another guru of his who initiated him in Devi worship, resulting in the Kamakshi Navavarnam and the Sri Vidya form of worship. Venkatakavi's poetry and prose have been used by Harikatha experts like Sri Krishna Premi, Sri Haridas Giri, Sri Muralidhara Swami, and Nedamangalam Krishnamurthy is the person who is coming in the line of Kavi. He was the Kavi's brother's descendant who used to perform this Krishna Ganam. And let me now come to the last segment, where I have requested Dr. Subhasri to give us 3 compositions. She'll be singing Palvadiyum Mugam and Ninaindu Ninaindu Ennullam Paravasamiga Pagde. It's quite a popular song. Now, this Palvadiyum Mugam says it conveys the innocence of the child, Krishna. And the other one will be, of course, this Alai Payude. And the last will be the famous Tilana. This Tilana was definitely popularized by Nida Mangala. And let us have the recording of Dr. Subhashri, who is a assistant professor at the music department, Madras University. I think Dr. Sri Vidya will play these compositions.
Yes.
My heartfelt thanks to our revered Guru Bhaiji for giving me this opportunity. Right now, I told my husband I want to go to Uttukadu tomorrow itself. This is what I feel. Thank you.
பால்வடியும் முகம் நினைந்து நினைந்தென் உள்ளம் பரவசமிகவாகுதே கண்ணால் பால்வடியும் முகம் நினைந்து நினைந்தென் உள்ளம் பரவசமிகவாகுதே கண்ணால் நீலக்கடல் போலும் நிறத்தழகா கண்ணா நீலக்கடல் போலும் நிறத்தழகா எந்த நெஞ்சம் குடிகொண்ட அன்று முதல் இன்று எந்த பொருள் கண்டும் சிந்தனை செல்லாதொழிய பால்வடியும் முகம் நினைந்து நினைந்தென் உள்ளம் பரவசமிகவாகுதே கண்ணால் வானமுகட்டில் சற்று மனம் வந்து நோக்கேனும் மோனமுகம் வந்து தோணுதே தெளிவான தண்ணீர் தடத்தில் சிந்தனை மாறினும் சிரித்த முகம் வந்து காணுதே கான கோயில் குரலில் கருத்தமை தேடினும் உன்கான குழலோசை மயக்குதே கருத்த குழலோடு நிறத்த மயில் சிறகிரித்தி அமைத்த சிரத்திலே கான மயிலாடும் மோன குயில் பாடும் நீல நதியோடும் வனத்திலே குரல் முதலெழில் இசை குழைய வரும் இசையில் குழலுடும் இளிரிளங்கரத்திலே கதிரும் அதியும் என நயன விழிகள் இரு நளினமான சலனத்திலே காளிங்கன் சிரத்திலே கதித்த பதத்திலே என் மனத்தை இருத்தி கனவினவிதோறும் பிறவிதோறும் கனிந்துருக வரம் தருக பரம் கருணை பால்வடியும் முகம் நினைந்து நினைந்தென் உள்ளம் பரவசமிகவாகுதே கண்ணால்
Kannada, but
தெளிந்த நிலவு பட்ட பகல் போல் தெரியுதே திக்கை நோக்கி என் நிற புருவம் நெளியுதே கனிந்த உன் வேணுகானம் காற்றில் வருகுதே கண்கள் சொருகி ஒரு விதமாய் வருகுதே கதைத்த மனத்தில் ஒரு திபதத்தை எனக்கு அழைத்து மகிழ்த்தவா ஒரு தனித்த வனத்தில் அனைத்து எனக்கு உணர்ச்சி கொடுத்து முகிழ்த்தவா கனைகடல் அலையன கதிரவன் ஒளியன இணையிறுகளென கழிக்கவா கதறி மனமுருகி நான் அழைக்கவோ இதர மாதருடன் நீ கழிக்கவோ இது தகுமோ இது முறையோ இது தர்மம் தானோ இது தகுமோ இது முறையோ இது தர்மம் தானோ குழலூதிடும் பொழுது ஆடிடும் குழைகள் போலவே மனது வேதனை மிகவோடு அலைப்பாயுதே. கண்ணா என் மனமிகு அலைப்பாயுதே. உன்னானந்த மோகன வேணுகானமதில் அலைப்பாயுதே. தாமிததஜ்ஜம் தகதஜ்ஜம் தகதிகதஜ்ஜம் தாம் நீல மனோகர ஜால விபூஷன் நிரத ஜலந்தர புஜங்க நர்தன் நீரஜ தடாக அதிக மிருதுள பத நிகட தரங்கோ துங்க தாடங்க நிர்த்தக நிர்த்தகதாம் தகதை தகத திமிதியத தகதா கிட்ட தக ஜகத்ரிகுர்த ஜனந்தம் தக ஜக தக ஜகத்ரிகுர்த ஜனந்தம் யமுனா தடாக துங்க தரங்கம் இமக ரஸ்மினி தரமித சுபாங்கம் இத்தஸ்ததஸ்தர தருணாபாங்கம் யதிவர ஹிருதய சரோருஹ பிருங்கம் தினததில்லான 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 திரிகுத கிட்டதில்லான அனக சிந்தூர அனக ಶೃಂಗಾರ ಮದನ ಗಂಭೀರ ಉರ ಕಪಟ ಸಂಚಾರ ನಂದ ಸುಕುಮಾರ ನವನೀತ ಗತಿ ಚೋರ ಚಂದಮಣಿಹಾರ ಜಲ ಭವತಿ ನುತ ಧೀರ ಜಯ ವಿಜಯೀ ಭವನಂದ ಕುಮಾರ ವ್ರಜ ಜನ ಪರಮಾನಂದ ಕಿಶೋರ ಕಾಳೀಯ ನಟನ ನಂದ ಗಂಭೀರ ಕರುಣಾರಸಯುತ ಭಾವ ಶರೀರಧೀಂ ತತಾಂ ತಧೀಂ ತತಾಂ ತತೈಂ ತಕತ ದಿಮಿದಿಯತ ತಕಜ ಗುಣಗುಣಂದರಿದ ಗುಣಗುಣಂದರ್ ದಿಮಿತ ತಾಕು ದಿಮಿತ ದಿಮಿತ ಕಿಟ ಜನ ವ್ರಜ ಕುಮಾರ ಮಹಿಮಾಲಂಕ ವನಮಲಾ ಪುಲಂತರ ಕೃತ ಕೃತಾಧಾರ ತಜ್ಜಂ ತತ್ತ ಕಜ್ಜಂ ತತ್ತ ಗಣ್ಣಂ ತತ್ತ ಗುರ್ರಂ ತತಾ ಕುಜಣಂ ದರಿದ ತಕುಜಣಂ ದರಿದ ಅದ್ಭುತ ನರ್ಧನ ಚಿತ್ರಿತ ಮುದ್ರಿತ ವಿದ್ಯಕ ಮುದ್ಭವಮದ್ಭುತ ಮದ್ಭುತ ತಾಕುಜಣಂ ತತ ಕುಜಣಂ ತರಿದ ಜಣಂ ತರಿದ ದಿಮಿತ ಕಿಟ ಜಣು ವಿಧಿಶುತ ಕಾಲ ವಿಧಿಶುತ ಶೀಲ ಗತಿಶಯ ನೀಲ ಧೃತ ಪದಲೋ ಲತಾಕುಜಣಂ ತರಿದ ತಕುಜಣಂ ತರಿದ ಜಣಂ ತರಿದ ದಿಮಿತ ಕಿಟ ಜಣು ತದಿಮಿತ ಕಿಟ ಧಿಮಿತಾಗ್ ದಿಮಿತ ಕಿಟ ಧಿಮಿತಾಕ ಧಿಮಿತ ಕಿಟ ಧಿಮಿತಾ ತತಾಂ தத்தோம் தத்தை கிடதக தரிகிடதோம் திமித திமித கிட்ட ஜணுத திம்மி தித்தைய தரிகிடதகதா தஜம் அதிசய ಶುಕ ನೃತಪದಕರಪ ತಜಂ ಸರಸಲೋಕ ಮುರಳಿ ರವನಾದ ಸಕಲ ಲೋಕ ಸಮ್ಮೋಹನಗಿ ತದಕ್ಕುದಿನ್ನ ತಗದಿನ್ನಂತ ಗದಾತೈದ ಗದಾತೈದ ದೃಗದ ಗದಗದಿನ್ನತ್ತ ಗದಾತೈದ ಗದಾತೈದ ಕದಂಬ ಕಿಸಲಯ ಮಿಳಿತ ನೂಪುರ ಪದಂಜಲಿತ ಕೃತ ಪಾದತ್ತಾಂ ತಿಲ್ಲಾನ ದೃಗತಿಲ್ಲಾನ ದೃಗದೃಗತಿಲ್ಲಾನ ಕಿಟತೋಂ ತನ್ನನ್ನಂ ಕಿಟತೋಂ ತತ್ತೈದ ತೋಂ ಕಿಟ ತಾ ಕಿಟ ತರಿ ಕಿಟ ಕದೂರಕ ಬಂದ ಅದ್ಭುತಂಗ್ ಶಿರಶಿ ಚಲನಂ ಚಲನಂ ಇದನಂ ಇದನಂ ಹೃದನಂ ಇದ ಚಂದ್ರವದಂಕರ ಕಂಕಣ ಕಿಂಚಿದನಂ ಗಗಣಂ ಪದರದರದ ಧಿಮಿ ಧಿಮಿ ಜಣು ಜಣುತಾಂ ತಥಾ ಕತಿಲ್ಲಾನ ಕನಕ ಭೂಷಣ ತಕಿಟ ತಗಸ್ತಡಾಕ ಬುಧಕರ್ ಮಂದಸ್ ಮಿತಕರ ಹರ ಪೂಜಿತ ಪದಯುಗಳ ಹರಿ ಜಯ ವಿಜಯೀ ಭವನಂದ ಕುಮಾರ ವ್ರಜ ಜನ ಪರಮಾನಂದ ಕಿಶೋರ ಕಾಳೀಯ ನಟನಾನಂದ ಗಂಭೀರ್ ಕರುಣಾರಸಯುತ ಭಾವ ಶರೀರ್ ಮದ ಮಧುಕರ ಮಧು ಬದರಳ ಸಮನಯನ ಕಮಲದಳ ಚಲನ ಮುನಿ ಹೃದಯ ಮಪಿ ಚೋರ ಜಾಗರ ದಯಾಕರ ಮುರಾರಿ ಶ್ರೀಕರ ಮದ ಮಧುಕರ ಮಧು ಬದರಳ ಸಮನಯನ ಕಮಲದಳ ಚಲನ ಮುನಿ ಹೃದಯ ಮಪಿ ಚೋರ ಗರ ದಯಾಕರ ಮುರಾರಿ ಶ್ರೀಕರ